Kathy. Again, my name is Justina Nicinska. I'm the Deputy Director of the NOAA UAS program, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Robbie Hood could not join us, so she sends her regards. We do have a member of our team here this morning. It's JC Coffey and Phil Kennel, and I'm going to be presenting really about an overview of the NOAA UAS program, our observing requirements and transition to technology approach. And later on, you'll be hearing from JC Coffey about some of our Arctic requirements, past successes, and from Phil Kennel later on about really our future work in the Arctic looking forward. So just to provide a high-level overview here, in terms of context, our administrator, Dr. Kathy Sullivan, likes to talk about NOAA as America's environmental intelligence agency. So really the ones trying to provide premium innovative science to support our vertical mission areas and our priorities, which include making communities more resilient, evolving the National Weather Service, investing in observational infrastructure in order to have the kind of data that we need to provide better assessments, better monitoring, modeling, forecast products that are all relevant to what you're doing here in Alaska as well. And this is, of course, where UAS technology comes into this, to be able to provide the kind of tools we need to get that mission accomplished. So this is where the mission for the UAS program comes in for NOAA. Our goal is really to evaluate UAS for NOAA operations, test, evaluate, and demonstrate a wide range of platforms. So we're really trying to look across our key mission areas or focal areas and look at different types of platforms. We've looked at everything from high altitude, global hawk, to medium range, small UAS, fixed wing, rotary wing. We've done work with the Icana you see right there. We've done work with the Scan Eagle. You heard Robin Engels' talk yesterday about marine mammals and doing work with protected species research. We're applying that also for doing wildlife monitoring. We do work in the National Marine Sanctuaries, looking at broad areas like the National Hawaiian Monument out there, and really being able to collect the best type of observations we can to meet those mission requirements. And so really this is a vision of our Observing System Council. It's really to achieve this kind of sustained observing portfolio that's integrated, adaptable, affordable to have long-term and durable mission success. And that's a photo you see of the Puma being deployed. And so that's part of the vision that we try to implement in the Unmanned Aircraft Systems program, to really look at the kinds of requirements that NOAA has. And this is sort of a broad spectrum, looking at a holistic sort of complete approach from identifying the stakeholder needs and mission requirements, for instance, looking at weather-ready communities, the kind of protection we need for life and property, looking at the business requirements, what do you actually need to issue the accurate tornado flash flood warning, and then looking generally at the user observing requirements, the kind of data that's needed, looking at the observing system requirements, sensors, and then the overall picture of the system and the budget requirements that are needed to actually implement that. So within the UAS program, we probably operate here in terms of working with different stakeholders and users to see the kinds of technology they need to get things done, and that sometimes means looking at unmanned systems, that sometimes means looking at a mix of different platforms that we can apply. So NOAA is also very focused right now on transition planning. A lot of you are probably very familiar with this. This is the technology readiness level scale that's been widely applied by NASA and by DOD, and we're applying this one at NOAA as well, both for our technology projects and our applications, really looking at research from from the early developmental stages to a demonstration, to a deployment and a transition. We have some new policies right now really looking at fostering the kind of development to ensure that we move technologies past that initial development 3 to 4 stage over to the actual deployment. And we've of course adapted this within the Unmanned Aircraft Systems program, to really look at this in terms of UAS. What does that mean for basic research, for applied research to move through these different stages, to go through successful prototyping, demonstrating in the field, and finally making that operational, looking at the different readiness levels of the platform, the payload, the observing system, and the final observing strategy. Because that transition planning and working from the beginning to end is sort of a critical area for us at NOAA. Our program rests within the research arm, and therefore what we need to do is really work with our different partners in this, looking at a commitment from stakeholders to really look at the implementation of this how this is coordinated from the beginning, and really looking, planning for their partners, at the start of the research, then seeing how we can best transition this, how to advance technology readiness levels, and how to later on, how to come up along the way of a concept for data acquisition, data management, staffing, and budget that, results in a complete transition and operating strategy. As an example, we funded several small UAS projects this year, and we're actually working with each one of them to have transition plans developed from the get-go in order to help advance some of that and push it past that initial development stage all the way to the finish line. So for the UAS project, we have a number of different options in terms of how we engage with different partners, and it's been mentioned here during the conference that partnerships are critical, and partnerships are critical for NOAA. A lot of the work we do, it really is working through interagency partnerships, looking at working with NASA, with the Coast Guard, all the advances we've done with the Global Hawk, and with the Puma actually as well. We're a result of a lot of work with private industries through Kratos, for instance with air environment and other industries. We've done a lot of work with the Small Business Innovative Research Program, really working with industry to identify the gaps in technology that we have to move those forward, and you'll be hearing examples of that coming up later on. And also, highlight our work with cooperative institutes. The work we do with NGI, University of Alaska. Robert's going to be speaking on this next. A lot of the great work that we do in terms of river water forecasting, in terms of ecosystem assessments, has been done that way. And also, of course, we also look at working with Section 330 companies, being able to do rapid deployments for instance, tornadic response for weather research and other applications. But overall, looking at all of this, there's not a one single solution that fits it. We're looking at really the best fit for an application to incubate technology at NOAA, which means there may be some UAS that are owned, small UAS that are owned at NOAA for rapid response or other applications, and there may be some like the Global Hawk that we really foster through interagency partnerships or work through CIs. So just to give you some examples of UAS program transitions, one is working with the National Ocean Service right now. That's a rotary wing MG-4000. It was originally purchased for work with the Fisheries Service, and we've since transitioned it to be applied really for marine monitoring, along with some atmospheric potential OAR operations that we've been doing with that platform. I think you can see a photo. You can see the photo right there on the right-hand side. We've also done a lot of work with our National Ocean Service, the GravD program specifically. This is an SBIR effort, and you'll be hearing about this in more detail from Aurora Flight Sciences, but we went through a phase 1 through a phase 3 fairly quickly to actually look at being able to use an offshore piloted aircraft for doing a lot of GravD missions, and that's been a really exciting venture. We're happy to see going forward, obviously as applications in Alaska, possibly for mapping. And lastly, I'd just like to mention our advancements of the Global Hawk system, really moving that forward. This is work done jointly with NASA over the years, but really looking at it as a complete sort of testbed and strategy, between advancements of the actual system, integration of payloads, looking at the impact of the sensors and the data in terms of the models, seeing how we can do operations as efficiently, effectively as possible. We're working for multiple coastlines for deployments into storms, and really being able to see that data ingested and tested for satellite gap mitigation and other efforts at NOAA. So we're really happy to see advancements of that moving forward, and you'll be hearing more about the Global Hawk later today as well. So our overall strategy, for development and demonstration, as I said, we have a mix of different projects that we support. We will, looking forward to probably doing another sort of incubator call for proposals coming up this year for some small projects within NOAA. That's really to get some of these lower tier level projects going across the agency, and also working with different SBR subtopic ideas potentially, and trying to foster our external partnerships, federal, state, tribal partners, international partners, and private industry, and also looking to advance our UAS testbed, looking at work with the SHOUT program, which is the Sensing Hazards for Operational Unmanned Technology for high impact weather and flooding. We're also looking at developing, further test beds in terms of more across line, across NOAA, in partner collaboration, I'm really looking at observing strategies for multiple line offices, for instance, for total water ecosystem assessments. And we're also looking forward to a 2018 Arctic Domain Awareness, potential international collaboration, different countries looking for instance, ice mapping, other applications relative to the Arctic, working both with hail and small e-waste platforms, and you'll be hearing more about that from Phil Kennel this afternoon. So that's the end of my introduction here. I'm happy to take any questions now, and our contact information is right there. And now I'll hand it off